In these uncertain economic times, it's easy to be worried about protecting your wealth, your hard-earned savings, and your family's financial future. Plunging interest rates, the devaluating dollar, and political unrest constantly threaten what you have worked hard to earn and all that you own. That's why now it's more important than ever to protect your assets and have the money you need to make your dreams come true. Welcome to the Global Wealth Fortress Report with successful global entrepreneur and wealth preservation expert Joel Nagel. Joel's helped thousands of people just like you protect what you have so that you can make even more and make your every dream come true. So, sit back and enjoy Joel Nagel's offshore expert advice on how you can live the good life at a great price, where the sun never sets on your financial fortress.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Global Wealth Fortress Report. I'm Joel Nagel and I am broadcasting to you today from my home office in Vienna, Austria, where we are experiencing just the most incredible fall weather. Daytime temperatures here have been in the high 70s and lows in the 50s. People are out and about in mass. In the evenings, the beer gardens are just packed. And, there is still some concern, I guess you could say, about coronavirus, but it's not stopping the Austrians from enjoying their life. And, the Oktoberfest celebrations are in full swing. My daughters and I ate at a beer garden, you could say, in not too far from our house yesterday evening, and we really enjoyed it. I mean, sitting outside, it was probably in the upper 60s, and you felt like you were pretty much living a normal life. Over the last couple of issues of the Global Wealth Fortress Report, we've been talking about legal structures, we've been talking about banking, and I want to just talk a little bit today about the Austrian Foundation. Okay, we spent a lot of time talking about common law trusts and places where you could establish a trust. So now I just want to talk a little bit about foundations. And I spoke the other day about the Anstalt in Liechtenstein. That's a very, very unique vehicle. It can do things that companies can do and foundations can do and trusts can do. It was really, really a well thought out law. And here in Austria, we have more of the traditional foundation. The foundations here in Austria can basically govern business, but they can't directly operate business. So you can own shares in companies, you can own real estate, you can own partnerships. There's really a lot that you can do with foundations. I would say if you have let's say a family business that is producing income and you don't want that business to be broken up at your death, then you would look to the Austrian Private Interest Foundation. Now, I should mention that here in Austria, we have two types of foundations. There's a public charitable foundation, and then there's the private interest foundation. And the private interest foundation is really what I'm talking about. At present, there are roughly 3,000 private interest foundations registered here in Austria. And again, if you want to take advantage of the rules and the laws and the tax code and the whole legal system, then you have to establish your foundation here. It has to be administered here. There has to be the control of the foundation here. Now, unlike Liechtenstein, Austria, the foundations here are subject to normal corporate taxation. That tax rate is 25%. So you might say, well, why would I want to set up a foundation in Austria? Well, there's a couple of reasons. First, obviously, the 25% tax only applies to profits. So if you own a legacy property that you just want to keep in your family, the cost of keeping alive a foundation and managing it, maintaining it, it's pretty reasonable in comparison to companies and other types of structures that you might want to have. So in those cases, there's really not going to be any tax. Now, let's say that you do earn profits in your foundation and you do pay the 25% tax. Keep in mind that, excuse me, the Austria has a double tax treaty with the United States. So any tax you pay here in Austria, you're going to be able to offset dollar for dollar against your tax in the US. So if you're paying tax on, let's say, your investment income at the rate of 25% or higher, then you can imagine that you would just be shifting where you're paying your tax. You wouldn't necessarily be changing the amount of tax that you're going to pay. So again, what you can really accomplish is maintaining business intact, maintaining real estate intact. You can use it for investment purposes. If you plan to own property, let's say in Europe, anywhere, not just Austria, then you may consider the foundation here as the right kind of vehicle for owning and administering that property, giving your children, grandchildren the opportunity to use the property, but not the opportunity to sell it or leverage it or put debt on it. It's also going to keep the asset away from not only your creditors, but the future creditors of your heirs, your children, your grandchildren. If one of them is in a terrible car crash or kills somebody, let's say, for example, nobody's going to be able to go after any kind of property that's in your Austrian foundation. So I just want to also invite you to look at the events page at the bottom of the screen. And if you click on that, you'll see some of the events where I'll be speaking in the coming months. In November, we have our annual President's Week conference. It's by invitation only, and it's really a very excellent high-end program. This year, we're holding the conference in Las Vegas, and we're going to be talking a lot about the U.S. presidential elections, the Senate elections, the House elections. It's really just going to be a little over a week after the elections are over. Then throughout the year, we have a variety of events. In December, we're going to be having a very high-end, private, by invitation only, Global Wealth Fortress Austria event the first weekend of December. It'll take place here in Vienna, where I am, together with the sights and sounds of the Christmas market. Those types of events are very, very small. We only allow a maximum of 5 couples. An individual or a couple can have a slot, and we only allow 5 slots. So that means you're going to have very small group, very personalized attention. In fact, we try to understand from our clients ahead of time what types of people they'd like to talk to, whether they'd like to meet with private bankers. We have some of the oldest private banks in Europe based here in Vienna, whether they'd like to meet with local lawyers, local real estate professionals. We really try to tailor those small events to you. And then we also add in a lot of local color. We'll have some fantastic meals. We'll get to a show or a symphony or opera, depending on what's showing that time of the year. We do that twice a year, once in the winter and once in the late spring, summer. You'll see our calendar of events. I believe at the moment it's out through April. So I hope you'll join us at one of these events. And if you'd like to schedule your own private event, make sure you let us know that that's something you're interested in, because I travel all over the world and frequently will schedule private meetings and consultations with clients wherever I go. So on that note, I want to thank you for joining me today on the Global Wealth Fortress Report, and I hope you'll join me next time. Until then, I wish you health, I wish you happiness, and I wish you a wealth that can't be taken by others. Take care. See you next time.
Thanks for joining Joel Nagel and the Global Wealth Fortress Report, a whole new approach to asset protection and estate planning. so that now you can live the good life at a great price, where the sun never sets on your financial fortress.